really need to get together and let our voices be heard.
This is Buffalo What's Next. I'm Jay Moran.
I'm Bridget Jaipal Valenza.
I'm Dave Debo.
And I'm Thomas O'Neill White.
After May 14th, how can we afford not to talk about race?
About education, about segregation, about humanity.
Since the dawn of this nation, racial violence has existed.
The way we have designed our society has a big hand in what occurred in that Tops Market.
The suburban area, everywhere. We must work and teach our children.
We need to make sure that we put more funding in our programs that help prevent gun violence and more money into art.
If we're going to have some real healing, we've got to have space to tell some uncomfortable truths.
Welcome back to Buffalo What's Next. I'm Thomas O'Neill White. We are talking literacy with Ruqayyah Simmons and Jelicia Jimenez, co-founders of Black Boys Read Too. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So talk to us about the core goal of Black Boys Read Too, addressing the disparity in literary achievement among African American boys.
Our mission is to have books available for both boys and girls with role models and protagonists that look like them, that are written by authors that come from where they come from. And we think that is the first step.
Part of our mission is to bring books to the boys by any means necessary. And we both come from an education and literacy background. And we kind of noticed, not only with the quantitative data, but qualitatively in our classrooms, that boys were less likely to get up and go reach for a book intrinsically. So that was something we really wanted to address hands-on.
And that hands-on, that disruption of that disparity, you guys you mentioned that you are educators, right? Ruqayyah, you're a fifth grade teacher?
Yes, I teach fifth grade at Charter School of Inquiry here in Buffalo.
And Jelicia, you are a community schools navigator for Say Yes Buffalo.
Yeah. Yes.
So literacy and education is near and dear to both of you.
Mm, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Say Yes Buffalo, Dave Rust. Big shout out to him.
Yeah, he's the best.
So just talk a little bit about disrupting that disparity and just getting these Black boys to read a little bit more.
Yeah, we started with just placing bookshelves in barbershops. We started with 3 a little bit, almost a year ago, March 2nd of 2022, we launched with 3 barbershop bookshelves. Now we are up to 12 across Erie and Niagara County. And our newest piece is our barbershop book clubs. We just finished our 2nd series in this past month, and we'll be doing our 3rd series in March.
One thing we kind of talk about is the privilege that we have to focus on the joyous aspects of disrupting the systemic racism and problems that plague our education system. And really, it's been just such a pleasure to have these young men and mentors and boys come and join us and ground some of that radicalism in reading and enjoying each other's company.
So getting into these barbershops, what does that look like? Do you say, hey, we want to do this club here in these barbershops? You started at 3 different barbershops?
Yes.
In Erie and Niagara counties?
Right.
So what does a day look like coming into a barbershop and doing these programs?
Well, our first 3 barbershops, we knew the barbers personally, so that was really an easy transition. But it's really just reaching out and saying, hey, we have this mission. We have a bookshelf. We put 50 to 75 books on each bookshelf, and it really doesn't require much of a heavy lift from the barbers. They just have to make sure that the books are there when we come back quarterly to switch them out. Sometimes we do have some conversations about the demographics and the type of clientele that they have so that we can cater our bookshelves to meet the needs of that community. So we haven't had any pushback, really. We were welcomed with open arms, and we still are looking to place more barbershop bookshelves across the city.
I think we've also been really pleasantly surprised with how involved all the barbers want to get in our programming. They're like really gung-ho about it. A lot of them go above and beyond and reach into their own pockets to really just make this experience the best that they can.
Wow, that is great. More books in barbershops. Just, I would love to come in to a barbershop if I've got a long wait on like a Saturday and just pick up a book and start reading. So I think there should be more of that in this area. Are either of you concerned with what is happening with book banning in other parts of the country? I know we like to say, never happening in New York, but given the work you both do, this has to be disconcerting.
Yeah, I come from a library sciences background, and that was a big conversation in my classes and in my practice, was really considering the consequences of censoring books and sort of like what that means for the next generation of readers, especially as a children's librarian. So, I think it's definitely concerning. It's silencing, it's erasing part of history that needs to be talked about. It's kind of silencing large groups of people that matter and have a presence all over the place. So, yeah, it's not something that we do with our bookshelves. In fact, we are very provocative and intentional about the titles that we curate and put on our shelves.
Anything, Ruqayyah, about book banning?
No, I don't think so. I think Jelicia really covered it. There was a need that we saw with having lists of diverse books. So we do have that included on our website. You can go online and we update it regularly for anyone who's looking for any diverse or culturally relevant books. It's available there.
You're listening to Buffalo What's Next. I'm Thomas O'Neill White, and we are talking literacy with Ruqayyah Simmons and Jelicia Jimenez, co-founders of Black Boys Read Too. Can we go around the booth and state our favorite authors?
Ooh, that's tough.
It is tough. I like Nick Stone. Shout out to Nick Stone. I think her work is just... it mixes that joy, but also allows for young boys and girls and even just adults to be able to speak about things that are happening in their community in a real way. So hopefully we'll be able to have a Nick Stone title in one of our upcoming book clubs.
Excellent. Jelicia?
I'm struggling, especially as a librarian. I think ethically I can't pick a favorite author, but I do want to shout out all the local authors that we've worked with and shine a spotlight on some of their names. LaGuan Rogers, Cara Oliver Perez. We just did an event with her. If you look on our Instagram, you please go look through and support these amazing local children's authors that are writing some really powerful titles.
I'm going to go with the old white man. J.R. Tolkien is my favorite author. Got
Classic.
tattoos and stuff. And, he's just been with me since I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I'm now 40, and he's still right with me. So can we talk a little bit more about the barbershop program? I know you guys are kind of like out of season, right? When are you guys going to be back?
We have our next round of our barbershop book club starting on March 8th. So it's open to everyone. We'll be at the barbershop Fade in Full. We really welcome families to come. I think it's a really fun thing for parents to do with their kids or caregivers to do with their kids Wednesday evenings at 5 p.m.
Yes, 5 to 6.
Yep.
Excellent. And you also have other literary pop-up events.
Yeah, this past summer we did a summer series where we partnered with Absolute Health and Wellness downtown. And we partnered health and wellness, so sports and yoga and meditation with reading. And so it was wonderful to be able to have families come out and participate in something a little active. Our dodgeball tournament was very popular. I'm waiting for, a rematch. And then also being able to come together around a book that was related to the theme. So that was something that we're looking forward to doing something similar this summer as well.
On your website, you mentioned you've got a pretty long list of picture books, chapter books, poetry, nonfiction. Is there a particular book from that list you like that you would recommend to a second grader or a middle schooler?
One thing that we found really interesting was the book that we just read together in our barbershop book club by Remy Blackwood, Race to Future Mountain. I think it's marketed more so to like that 8 to 12 age range, but because of the story and the characters, participants of all ages could really relate to the characters that we were reading about. And so I think that sometimes books can really transcend age, especially when you're building community around them.
How do you choose the books?
For the book club or just...
Yeah, for the book club.
Well, we do like to try to find authors that follow us on social media. And we came across the story that we just read, Future Hero, Race to Fire Mountain. We actually got the recommendation from Meg at Alice Ever After Books. On Parkside,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That story, it is centered around a young boy who goes to a barber shop that's owned by his cousin, and there's a secret portal in the back. And he finds out that he is a king or a prince from this...
like a royal bloodline.
Of like a futuristic...
very Wakanda-esque.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And we saw that there was the connection with the barbershop, and we were going to be doing the book club in a barbershop. So it worked out well. And it was wonderful because the author follows us on social media, and it's an actual author team. So there's a few people who write together under the name Remy Blackwood, and they're based out of the UK. And they actually zoomed in to talk to our group, which was wonderful because it was 10:30, 11 o'clock at night in the UK.
Time, yeah.
And it was wonderful to have the students be able to, or the kids and participants, I'm in my teacher mode, students, the participants to be able to read the story and then also be able to talk to that author and ask questions about the process. And we're looking to do that again with the next story, since we're going to be reading the second book in the series in March.
Is that how you measure effectiveness? With talking to an author and you've got your group and they're asking questions about the books. Is that one method you measure, how effective you are doing with your work? Are there any other methods that you look at?
Absolutely. That is part of it. But also we do our normal kind of surveys. Everyone participates in a survey after each session, and then we're able to come together as a group and decide what's working, what isn't working. We really just want to make sure that the program is giving our community what they need, even if it's not what we envisioned in the beginning. But it's always evolving.
Yeah, and I think it's like one measure of success and engagement is return. So we have a lot of familiar faces that come back to our events, and that really, to me, shows that we are building community and we are curating like a welcoming space for people to come back and bring their family members and friends to.
Moving along into 2023, what does that look like? What events do you have coming up? Expanding the barbershop series? Could you be moving into salons as well?
We're talking about taking our barbershop bookshelf program into other cities, expanding out of Buffalo. So if you're listening and you're interested and you've got a shop, we'd love to place one.
Yes.
I think we've really found our niche and some grounding in our book club series. So I think we've talked a lot about expanding that as well.
And just, to be clear, the group is called Black Boys Read Too, but this is very much family oriented.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And this is one question I like to ask all my guests. I mean, it's a broad question, but I interview people from all different walks of life, especially the ones based locally. So, what does Buffalo need? From Ruqayyah, from your vantage point, Jelicia, from your vantage point, what does Buffalo need?
Ooh.
I think as an outsider looking in, so I'm a transplant from New York City, but I feel very at home in Buffalo, and I feel inspired by the creatives and talent that the city has to offer. I think we need more focus, funding, and opportunity for those creatives to thrive and be seen and heard.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the community is very supportive.
Yes.
Even when we first launched, we received a lot of support locally. I think that we as a community just need to continue that support. So when things happen, we get very excited and we support, and then it starts to die down.
Right.
I
think the Buffalo way.
Yeah. So I think if we can figure that out as a community and continue to stay involved and stay involved with the missions and the creatives and the organizations that we get so excited about, I think that the sky's the limit. I think Buffalo can really make even bigger name for themselves.
Yeah, it feels like there's so much like kinetic energy here, and then the momentum sometimes can just sort of
but the talent is always here.
Yes.
It's going to remain here. It's just getting that talent out and being able to, let them do what they do.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
You're listening to Buffalo What's Next. I'm Thomas O'Neill White, and we are talking literacy with Ruqayyah Simmons and Jelicia Jimenez, the co-founders of Black Boys Read Too. Ruqayyah, Jelicia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us.
That was Jelicia Jimenez and Ruqayyah Simmons from Black Boys Read Too, talking literary achievement for children of color. We'll be right back with more Buffalo What's Next after this quick break and return with Western New York Merchant Consulting founder Robert Grant.
I'm Sabrina Tavernisi, host of The Daily. With the extraordinary reach of New York Times journalism, we are here bringing you the sound and the story. Listen every weekday as New York Times reporters unpack more of what you want to know about our world as it happens. That's The Daily from The New York Times.
Weeknights at 6 p.m.
This is Buffalo What's Next, where we have conversations with the community about moving forward. To have your voice heard, press the Talk to Us button on the WBFO app, and we'll work to get your questions and comments on the air. Join us on Twitter at WBFO or email us at news@wbfo.org. Together, we'll have the conversations that are needed. This is WBFO, your NPR station.
And we're back. I'm host Thomas O'Neill White, and we're talking entrepreneurship, networking, disrupting, and a little bit of hip-hop with WNY Merchant Consulting and Stay Grinding Inc. founder Robert Grant. Robert, thank you for being with us today.
No, thank you for having me. I'm honored and I'm humbled as well.
When we spoke earlier, you described yourself as a disruptor. Now, how do you apply that to your work in payment solutions and credit card processing?
Okay, so let's go back 2-3 years.
Yes.
Before the pandemic.
Let's do that.
Before the pandemic. So I've had these solutions for payment processing that I felt like a lot of businesses here in Buffalo were lacking multiple revenue streams, to get from their business, like online processing, delivery apps. You know, I was trying to get them ready for the future. And that's kind of, you know, they're like, no, Rob, you know, this is how it is in Buffalo. We don't need that. You know, we've been doing this. It's been successful this way. And we don't see this, you know, working for us in the future. Future comes, pandemic hits. What happens? Businesses shut down. What do everyone start doing? Using online delivery apps, online ordering. So a lot of my clients was like, Rob, you still got those? You still got those solutions? I'm like, yes. They've been laying dormant. They're here. So I just flipped the switch, and a lot of my clients that had restaurants here in Buffalo, they stayed in business because I gave them the solutions to be able to create those different revenue streams while they were shut down. So that, to me, that was, you know, that's kind of disrupting, you know,
right?
Filling in cracks that are, you know, when companies or people get big, sometimes they start to crack, right? There's cracks in you know, in the business. So I'm there to kind of fill in that crack,
right?
You
Provide that sealant.
Yep.
Upsetting the apple cart is preferable to you than fitting in.
I've always been that way. So, you know, but just in life, in all my trials and tribulations, I feel like I've always had a fight for what I wanted. So I've always gone against the grain, always. So,
and just applying that philosophy to everything you do. I mean, how does that feel to you? How does that work for you? Is it not setting yourself apart from others, but, you know, disruptor could mean on one side something really good,
right?
You know, but on another side, it's like, oh, this guy again.
Exactly, and I would get that a lot sometimes. But when I started my businesses and when I started everything, I realized I had to become part of the community, right? Because I needed help from the community to grow my business. So giving back is a big thing for me in Buffalo, you know. So what I started to do was connect people, help people, you know, help people with their businesses, and you know, just show value, right? Show value. And show people there's other ways of doing things, there's other ways to be successful. And that's, you know, even though I'm a disruptor, I am a giving person. So, you know, I'm an acquired taste, you know, but if you come to me and you want to do something, you know, I'm going to help you do it. And there have been a lot of situations at times where people said, oh, I want to do this. I want to be successful in this. I want to do that. And I start helping them with it. And then it starts to become a reality to them and they get scared, you know? So, you know, I'm just the type of guy, if, you know, I come from a place where I've seen a lot of success and I know what it looks like and I know the formula. I don't know everything, but I'm open to learn things as well. Like if someone's super successful or more successful than me, I want to get next to that person and learn what he's doing. Not instead of going away, you know, separating myself away from that person. I want to learn.
Yeah. When you run into these people who want help but are afraid of success, why do you think they have that fear?
I think initially they thought, I don't know if they're afraid of success at that time.
Right.
But when it starts to become a reality to them, I think it's scary because I don't think they ever probably even experienced that, you know, like any of their dreams coming to reality. And it's a scary thing. I've been there numerous times. You know, I used to have dreams about me being on stage or me doing certain things, and it gets scary when it gets real, you know. But like I said, I've been around a lot of success, so I know what it's like. So I know how to navigate that.
You found with your payment and processing business that the majority of your clientele were white folks, but you're really trying to reach out to Black and brown folks moving forward.
Yes, still white moving forward as well.
Right. Well, yeah. Of course. No, we're not shunning the white folks out here.
Yeah. I love my white people. But I want to give them the solutions that, you know, other businesses that I work with that are doing exceptionally well. I want to give them the same solution and tools to help them thrive. You know, I go to a lot of Black businesses and I see a lot of things that could be done better. and just help them stay in business. You know, you see a lot of black businesses that open, they don't stay around too long. You know, I grew up, I try to take a lot of shortcuts too in business at times, you know, early in my career with other things. And, you know, I just learned how to do things correctly. So lay a really strong foundation, all your business in order, so you can able to thrive. And then I can help you create multiple revenue streams. It's really about connections too, and knowing the right people and having knowledge.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that shortly. Just for people who may not know very much about you, like how many businesses are you running, or are you a part of?
So I'm actually running. I'm running 3 businesses. So I'm running WNY Merchant Consulting, which is the payment processing solution, and I provide you know, multiple solutions for business owners, and I do high risk as well. So like people who need, you know, sell firearms, or, you know, debt collection agencies, I provide solutions for them because they're on the match list. A lot of them can't get processing, so it's very difficult for them. And then I also do cannabis as well. So I do dispensaries, and I do online processing for like CBD and all that. So I can do all that, B2B, et cetera, et cetera. Then I have Stay Grinding Music, which is the publishing company where I facilitate licensing deals with TV and film. So I help a lot of artists make money in the music industry from licensing publishing. So that's a lot. That's music that's played on TV and film. You hear a lot of music in the background. Those are called musical beds, right? So a lot of my producers, they do a lot of musical beds for, you know, TV shows. I'm sure people are familiar with the Kardashian show, Disney, Stuck in the Middle, all that types of stuff. So we do musical beds, and we also do theme music. Excellent. Then one more. Yeah. Then Stay Grinding Inc., which is the parent label to Stay Grinding Music, where, you know, I just, you know, I consult artists, and I do a lot of artist development. I don't manage anybody. I can't manage artists, because if you don't have the same drive that I do, then it's not going to work.
You mentioned value a few minutes ago, and I wanted to ask you, what does value mean to you?
Creating wealth, and helping people create wealth as well. So I'm a founder of a networking group called Team Network. So Team Network is an acronym. Together, everyone achieves more. So what I do with Team Network, prior to the pandemic, I used to host these things called lunch and learns. So I would bring people to Black and Blue out in Amherst, and we would have a lunch meeting, and I would highlight a business owner or a business professional, and they would talk about their product or solution or their business and attract new customers or new clients. So creating value, correct?
Yeah.
And then my world here in Buffalo is not segregated, so when I moved here, I met people from all walks of life, all walks of culture. You know, I met people from everywhere. So when people come to my networking group, they meet people from all types of cultures. You know, it's very super diverse. So that's what I do. I try to create as much value. And a lot of people probably wouldn't meet these people if they didn't come to my networking event, because a lot of people stay in their suburb area. A lot of people stay in the city. They don't, you know, in between. But when they come to me, it's like the United Nations, man. It's, you know, everyone's coming together.
And that's the perfect segue, because I wanted to ask you, you're not originally from this area. Where are you from? How did you grow up? And what did you see in Western New York when you first moved here?
So I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, but I did move to Buffalo from Brooklyn. So I lived in Brooklyn prior. But I've lived a lot of different places as well. I'm an Air Force veteran, so I got to travel a lot and see a lot. You know, been around the world once, so I've seen a lot. So I started to understand socioeconomics. Mm-hmm. So coming to Buffalo, I just looked at how much is it for rent, how much is to buy a house, how much is it for, you know, like how much is it for like Crown Royal, like, you know, I was just like, everything was so cheap.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh man, you know, I see an opportunity here where some people that live here, you know, all their life, they probably don't see the opportunity.
Right. You're looking at it from the outside,
right,
looking in.
So I wanted to come here. I wanted to be able to own properties. I wanted to be able to offer my talents and gifts. And I wanted to, you know, help people see see that there's more than what they see. Like, you can do more than one thing. You can create a legacy. You can live your dreams and goals. A lot of people say, "Oh, think practical, think practical." We all have to think practical. I know that. I have to think practical as well. When I was first starting my business, I had to go work at UPS at night while I was building my sales. I get all that, but if you're consistent and it's all about consistency. If you stay consistent in what you want to do, you can make your dreams a reality. So moving up here, I just wanted to just bring my talents and gifts and, just help, uplift the community,
And how long have you lived here?
I've been here for 15 years now.
15 years. Mm-hmm. Has your view changed at all about the city, about the people in this city or in this region?
I think my view has changed. It was a little rough for me when I first came here. Buffalo, they wear their distrust on their sleeve, and they have every reason to do that. It's a rough city. A lot of people came up, it's rough,
Mm-hmm.
And but once I started to befriend a lot of people that were born and raised here and got connections, I realized once they trust you, they got your back for life, man. They're very, very, very loyal. And that's what I appreciate. I'm that type of person. So I appreciate Buffalo because it's a small knit community, but there's some real people here, man.
And that's what I'm a transplant too. I've lived here a little longer than you have, but you get to know the people.
Yeah,
and it's real in the field, as they say.
Yep.
We're gonna take a short break, and we'll be back on the other side. You are listening to Buffalo What's Next.
Buffalo is home to many historical treasures, including architectural gems.
Central Terminal affected everybody. Everybody from the common man to the movie star walked this concourse.
Beloved community establishments.
They might get a glimpse to see Lena Horne. They might see Dizzy or Miles Davis, Charlie Parker.
And homes for local sports teams.
When we talk about an institution, Memorial Auditorium was an institution.
The WNED PBS original production, Remembering Western New York, explore some of these iconic structures and their connection to people who live in the region.
There was a time when Buffalo's Main Street was the focus of holiday shopping in Western New York.
Watch Remembering Western New York now on YouTube.
Attention parents and teachers. Find free learning resources, including lesson plans and videos for all ages at pbslearningmedia.org.
This is Buffalo What's Next, where we have conversations with the community about moving forward. To have your voice heard, press the Talk to Us button on the WBFO app, and we'll work to get your questions and comments on the air. Join us on Twitter at WBFO or email us at news@wbfo.org. Together, we'll have the conversations that are needed. This is WBFO, your NPR station.
And we're back. I'm host Thomas O'Neill White, and we're talking entrepreneurship. We're talking networking. We're talking disrupting the system, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of weed. With WNY Merchant Consulting and Stay Grinding Inc. founder Robert Grant. I wrote this quote down, Rob, during our phone conversation. Small table with real people. What do you mean by that?
All right, so I'm gonna give some plugs to a couple of organizations.
Yes.
All right, so when I first moved here, I joined this group called BNI. It's called Business Networking International. Right. So when I initially joined the organization, it's a referral network. So when I joined, there was a little apprehension about me, what I could provide. And I said, okay, we'll see. So they didn't know who I was yet. So I said, okay, I'm going to put my bootstraps on and I'm going to create as much value as possible for this group where they can't deny me. So I did that. And the second year, it just got to the point where, they just couldn't operate at the level that I was operating. So I left the organization. So this is probably like 7, 8 years ago. And I created Team Network. So when I started doing Team Network, it was, I was small, I was in the small section in black and blue, like only fit 10 people.
Right.
And, I was posting stuff saying well, his team network, we're about to, starting to grow. And then somebody left a comment, was like, you need a bigger table for that. You need a bigger table. And I was like, really? I said, really? Do I? I said, I'd rather have a small table with real people, effective people and people who hold themselves accountable than be around, have a big table with people who are just talking and not doing anything and not acting. So that's where I got that from.
Does leadership come natural to you, or did you have to figure out your place?
I had to figure out my place, and I just had to really look inside and find my own superpower, because at times, I didn't see it. Having a lot of gifts and talents, sometimes I get, sometimes I pivot a lot sometimes, but at the same time, I know that I can lead myself, but I had a hard time leading other people. I got to the point now, developing skills in corporate America, how to be a leader. I did a lot of programs to be able to, learn how to lead, because I was the type of guy that leaded by example.
Yeah.
But now I'm here in Buffalo, I'm finding people that I can work with. That was probably another thing too. Like back then, I was around a lot of people who genuinely didn't want to see me be successful. So it was hard for me to lead people who were really not trying. They were just trying to
hold you down,
hold me down. Yeah,
Why do you think that is, or why that was?
Probably insecurities or jealousy. It could be numerous things. I don't know, but at this point, I don't even care anymore. I just want to be around. I just like, if we vibe, if we connect, then that's what it's meant to be. I see it as God moving people out my way now. God moving people out my way and putting the people in place that are supposed to be there.
Right. And networking.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so important overall, but like especially in this region?
I believe, I got another saying, your network is your net worth. That's another thing that I believe in, because I couldn't get a lot of places without networking. I didn't get here by myself. A lot of people helped me along the way. And that was through networking. So I believe networking is very important, because you just never know who can help you. You never know who can help you.
Right. And you're making some inroads into the cannabis business, the CBD business, kind of. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. So when I worked for, I worked for a lot of payment processing companies throughout the years, and I learned a lot from them. And then I met the Cadillac processors, and they taught me the game, and and I'm grateful for that. So after what I realized about the credit card processing, companies, a lot of them wanted to differentiate themselves, but as soon as they got bought out by their competitor, they acquired them, and the acquisition went through. They became just like their processor. They started doing everything they said they weren't going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to become I just wanted to become independent and, be able to control the costs and the fees on things. And so now that I'm not with these companies, I can work with anybody. I have so many different verticals and solutions. So cannabis is one of the solutions that I provide, because I feel like a lot of people are doing things, they're not doing things correctly.
Right. Right. Not following the
regulations, the licensing, the processing. A lot of them are doing things a little shady. So, and I just want to make sure that, Western New York, they're set up correctly with the POS. Everything is compliant. And I want to make sure I can help them save as much money as possible on the cannabis solutions. But I also provide so many different other solutions when it comes to cannabis, like, cannabis delivery. I do cannabis insurance. I do cannabis banking. I do cash advance for cannabis. Wow. Yeah, so I have a lot of different gift cards. Like I'm making sure that they have all the solutions they need to be successful.
You've got to keep your eye on this ball, though, with legalized cannabis in the state, because it is such a fluid situation.
Right.
Segueing, perfect segue from weed to hip hop.
Yeah, man.
You go by the moniker Omega Red.
Yes.
When did you initially get into hip hop?
I got into hip hop, I would say, into the early 80s. And, that transition from the, late 70s. I was born in 76. I don't know. I'll put my name.
Doesn't look like it, ladies and gentlemen. He does not look like he was born in 1976.
Yeah, so thanks. I appreciate that.
I got you.
You they call you red too, though, because
high yellow.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I grew, like I caught like the old school, the disco, the Motown. My parents were very my parents loved music. My mom was a huge Jimi Hendrix fan, and my dad loved Motown. So I caught a lot of classical rock and Motown. So when hip hop started to transition, like the first really big record was Sugar Hill Gang, right? It was kind of a disco beat with rap.
Yep.
So I was super young. I was like maybe 4 years old, but I was there for the inception of hip hop. And I grew up playing jazz. I'm a jazz musician. I'm the saxophone player. Yeah. So in jazz, we would freestyle. Freestyling is called improv. So it was like an easy transition for me to get into hip hop because when I was in I would say like elementary school, junior high school, that's when they start to sample like jazz records, right?
Yes.
Big Daddy Kane, Smooth Operator. So I started to play that with the saxophone verbatim.
Okay.
So then I would get my little band together for junior high and play. We would play hip hop, play like that beat.
Right.
And I would play the saxophone, and then I would grab the mic and start rapping. So that's my first introduction into hip hop.
Who was your first favorite artist?
I would say, oh man, I gotta say, Big Daddy Kane was my first big artist that I was like, yo, I want to get into this.
And to follow up, favorite jazz artist?
I would say Bradford Marsalis, Bird.
Blow the Spot like Branford Marsalis.
Yep. John Coltrane.
Yes, sir.
Bird. So I would play my favorite things, for Bird. So yeah, so those two are one of my favorite jazz musicians.
Excellent. So when did you decide you wanted to make a career out of this?
All right, so when I got out the military, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go full time into this business, and then I just took a deep dive. But I grew up. I have family members. I got a lot of family members in the music industry, so it's But I never asked anyone for help. But what I did is I just said I got to get connected with the DJs and make the connections so I can get my stuff played on radio. So that's what eventually what happened. Then my first singles with Ray J. But that's pretty much how that's how I took it serious. I mean, I'm the type of person, if I want to take something serious and drive, I get that tunnel vision and I make it happen. But that's at the point when I got out the military, I said I want to take this serious because I just something inside me just told me like this is my purpose.
Right.
Being a musical artist and creator. But at the same time, I have a business mind, and I didn't want to be a business person per se in the beginning of my music career. I just wanted to be an artist. But, I've had a few partners throughout the years working in music, and I have them to handle the business side, and it never worked out that way. So I said, if I'm going to do this, I gotta put my business cap on too. So
yeah, you got to kind of do for self, especially in a business like hip hop where it's pretty shady.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I had to do. I've had a lot of trial and errors. I had a lot of deception. A lot of backstabbing, betrayal. But that's the industry's like that. So being independent is tough. But once you cultivate your fan base and you have a solid fan base, a core fan base, you really don't need to worry about any of that stuff.
And this is some of the knowledge you try to apply to artists that you work with.
Yes.
Talk a little bit more about that, and talk about the importance of publishing, owning your publishing.
So when I'm teaching artists, what I've taught artists in the past, and what I'm teaching artists now is that music publishing is pretty much like your intellectual property. It's like real estate. When your grandmother dies or something like that, what do? They pass down the house to you, right? So publishing is like that. I'm sure you heard stories like Justin Bieber just sold his publishing for like $90 million.
Right.
Or Michael Jackson owns half of Sony Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's like digital intellectual property. So it's like digital real estate. So what I try to show them is you can make money in the music industry. A lot of artists want to be at the top of the pyramid. They want to be, huge celebrities, and they want to make these millions and millions of dollars, and that's fine. If you have those you have those aspirations and goals. But let me show you how to sustain a living in the music industry till you get to where you need to be. So that's what I show artists. I show them a different way. A lot of it's ego too. A lot of people are on they want to do those big hit records and those big singles, and but they don't want to actually do like something for a TV show, where
Right.
for kids or something like that, and that's good money. Like I've had music actually placed on Stuck in the Middle. I'm watching Stuck in the Middle with my daughter, and my song comes on, right? And I'm shocked myself because I don't know where they put the music. I just give the music, the music supervisors the music, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, and I get those checks.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this to any aspiring musical artist. Outkast did a song for the Scooby-Doo soundtrack. Now, if they can do that, you can do cartoon shows.
Right. It may sound corny, but that corniness gets you money. So kill the ego.
Exactly. We've talked a lot about the businesses that you run. Like, how do you find the time to manage all this stuff?
So I've been doing the music stuff I've been doing for like 20 plus years.
Okay.
So a lot of that is a turnkey for me, and sometimes I have to pivot, sometimes I just, I do pivot, but the stay grinding music, stay grinding ink is kind of turnkey for me. So that's on autopilot.
Okay.
Right. So I don't really have to focus on that as much as when I, with WI Merch Consulting, when I need to do a lot of business development. If I need to scale my business, I have to focus on scaling my business. I got to get back out there, start networking, make new connections, so sometimes I just have to pivot, right? I just put something to the side. Like, I had to, I got music projects I need to work on, but, I needed to, but I need to scale my other business. So I'll put it on hold. I just have to put it on hold and then focus on the business development, for 6 to 7 months if I have to. So it's really about just you got to humble yourself, kill the ego, like I said, and just be like, okay, I can't do this right now because I need to, focus on one thing. So it's really about just kind of pivoting and just focusing on one thing at a time. And then when you build that foundation, you can walk away and let it run. Right. While you're focusing on something else. I feel like any business to be successful, the whole objective is to get your business to the point where you don't need to be there 24/7.
And you've got a daughter.
I have 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
Yes.
2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
How's it like being a dad?
I love being a dad. My oldest is 26 and my youngest is 13, going to be 14. So they're going to be the heirs to my throne, So I'm very proud of both my daughters. My oldest, she's amazing. She's going for a master's right now. My youngest daughter, she's like a triple threat. She can sing, she can dance, she's an artist. Wow. So I'm just waiting for her to find her lane, though.
Uh-huh.
So, because I'm her dad, so I'm not cool, right? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes she's like, Dad, you need to work on this. She gives me a lot. I ask her a lot of opinions about music because she's young, so I want to still cater to the young crowd. So I ask her a lot of questions. She's like, Nah, that ain't it, Dad. That ain't it. So she keeps me humble.
Do you help manage her, or are you kind of playing the background with her?
It's called seeding. I seed her. So I plant seeds in her head. Like I'll force her to watch stuff with me sometimes.
Okay.
And she'd be like, I don't watch it, but it's seeding in her. Like I seed it and it grows, because she'll come back to me like, what, Dad, you told me about this and this, I heard about this in school.
Right.
And so it's like I give her the game, but until other people, she hears it from someone else, and then she's like, oh wow, my dad was right. So it's kind of that situation.
Circling back to networking, do you have any networking events coming up that folks should know about?
Yes, I do. Actually, I have a networking event. It's going to be in East Aurora at the Griffin Pub. That's going to be March 22nd, and that's going to start at 6 o'clock. So if you want to come and you want to meet a lot of elite networkers and professionals, definitely come down.
Last question, and take your time with this.
Okay, cool.
With your unique perspective, as someone who's, been around the world, been to different cities in the United States, but, you're firmly here in Buffalo.
I consider myself a Buffalonian now.
In Western New York. Oh, okay. All right. In your mind, what does Buffalo need?
What does it need? It needs more of open-minded to new things. Let's bring the cultures together more. and I feel like it's just be early adapters. Start to become early adapters. Buffalo's, when I go other places, I see Buffalo's probably 10, 15 years behind on a lot of things. So just becoming early adapters.
Yeah, what does that mean though?
So, for instance, like I said, when I had those solutions for the business owners, and they were rejecting it because they didn't think they would ever need it.
Right.
They weren't early adapters. So
they couldn't see that far.
Yeah, they couldn't see that far ahead in the future. So, when we take a loss out here in Buffalo, it really crushes people, and it makes them not want to do something over and over. If you take a loss, we fail every day. Mm-hmm. So just take that L, and keep moving forward, because you have to do that. So I would like to see more consistency of just moving forward. If something didn't work out, that's fine. You're gonna take a loss. Let's bounce back and let's move forward. Because the faster we move forward, the more we can advance.
Right. I mean, we're definitely a city known for taking losses, as you said.
Right.
Bringing people together, though, that's a tough.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm bringing people together. I've been here for 15 years, and it took me a good, probably solid, 7-8 years, to people to catch on to what I'm doing. But that's what I'm doing. That as far as disrupting, I'm trying to bring all the coaches together, man. I'm trying to bring everyone together, And some people don't want that. Some people want the division, because if you have the division, people won't be exposed.
Right.
So I'm breaking down all those things.
How do you? Yeah, it's like fighting against that separation and keeping people siloed.
Yeah.
Is just a hard hill to climb.
Collaboration, that's my thing. Like, I collaborate with so many people, and that's why it's working for me, because I tell people we have to work together. So what I try to do is I try to collaborate with as much people as possible, and I think that's the key to everybody growing and doing better here in Buffalo. The more collaboration, the more better.
Excellent. You're listening to Buffalo What's Next, our daily discussion on race, education, segregation, health, and more, following the May 14th top shooting. I want to thank my guest, Robert Grant, for being here today. Rob,
I appreciate you,
brother.
I appreciate you,
Thank
too,
you for stopping in.
No, man, I'm honored, man.
You're listening to WBFO and WBFO HD1 Buffalo, WOLN Olean, WUBJ Jamestown. One more time, Robert, WNY Merchant Consulting?
Yes, so that people can find me at www.wnymc.co, and then my stage name, pseudonym Omega Red. Just look me up, and I'm all over the place.
One last question about Omega Red.
Mm-hmm.
Are you coming out with any new music?
Yes, I covered. I just dropped a single. It's called Home Sweet Home. It's produced by Grammy Award-winning producer 88 Keys. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
So he produced that record, Home Sweet Home. And then I'm working on my album right now, the Red Tape Volume 4. That's going to be coming out probably in the summertime. And then I'm going to be doing the Music Art Festival in September. I work with the Google Dolls. I record their studio, so they love me. So
really?
Yeah, so
You'll be doing the Elmwood Art Festival?
No, Music is Arts Festival.
Music is yeah.
But also, actually, I just remember. So I'm also going to be doing a fundraiser for Hope Rises Network, the nonprofit group.
Okay.
Kate Glaser. So she's a really good friend of mine. So I'm going to be doing a show. It's going to be June 9th at the Rec Room. So it's called Music for Hope. So I have Mighty Mystic. He's a huge reggae artist. His brother's the Prime Minister of Jamaica. He's my brethren. He's going to be performing. I'm going to be performing. And then I have a group called Telephone Tag, which includes Ryan Doyle. He's a Buffalo local. He was a local musician, but he's all over the place now. He's national, and we worked on records for years now. So it's going to be us three performing, doing Music for Hope to raise money to, for this nonprofit, so she can help other nonprofits be successful here in Buffalo as well.
And where can we find this latest single?
You can find it on all social media platforms and distribution platforms like Spotify, iTunes. You just Google Home Sweet Home, Omega Red, and it will pop right up.
Awesome. Let me run through that station ID again. You're listening to WBFO and WBFO HD1 Buffalo, WOLN Olean, and WUBJ Jamestown, your NPR station. Robert, Thanks again, brother.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you.
All right. You are listening to Buffalo What's Next.